Hey guys, 2008 200 series. It's got VD. I mean, it's a VDJ. The V8, 4.5 litre V8, right? We're going to have a quick look underneath the vehicle. It's got VD because it's got a rear main oil leak at the rear main, funnily enough. So the rear main is the main seal at the rear. It's at the back of the engine. On the back of the engine where the crankshaft comes out, you can see the area's been cleaned up to re-inspect for what the oil leak is. You can see the cross member here is obviously been all wet over time. So the boys, look, we don't work on these. I just want to be clear. We're flat out on 1KD FTVs. We can, look, that's about it. I've got to be honest. That's about it, But the boys in Sunshine will work on other vehicles, especially if they're Toyotas. Well, for the time being anyway. And they're doing the rear main seal. So we're going to give you a bit of information on that. And people love the inspection videos, so I'm going to go around underneath the vehicle and have a bit of a look around, remembering, so this is a 2008, and it's done about 200,000 Ks. And one of the first things I noticed that I wasn't impressed with, I don't see on the Prados, is the tyre wear, right? I don't know how well you can see that, but it's all sort of feathered off over this, both sides on the front. The middle's not too bad. It looks like a little bit of an underinflation problem. We'll check over this side and have a bit of a look. Similar thing, it's kind of like feathered here, right? They're all feathered, So that's probably also to do with the old original Flog suspension. So let's get up there and have a look. Yep, that's all the original stuff. That is factory, long overdue. It's not going to be helping with the tyre wear, so it's definitely overdue for suspension replacement. Those struts there are wear and tear items. Doesn't mean you need a lift kit. Let's just take a look at the rack. Is there any sweat there like what we commonly see on the Prados? No. Do you notice how big everything is? You might not be able to see it. This is why this is a full-size Land Cruiser, okay? Bigger, stronger steering rack, bigger, stronger sway bar. The lower control arms, they're a bit bigger also. The bushes are also a bit bigger, not a lot. But overall, the suspension components can kind of look fairly massive. But you can see even on the 200, those bushes starting to twist and that sort of thing. They're not due for replacement yet. Okay, same sort of thing on that one. This one, much bigger than what's on the Prado, really. And therefore, a vehicle that's similar in weight and size, it's not that much bigger than the 150 Prado, the LC 150. A bigger bush is going to cope with the twisting a lot better. So I don't specialise in these, but I would imagine that you don't see the bush problems, that crack split bushes that need replacing on a 200 series as much as you do on the 150s and the 120s, okay? So the suspension components are a fair bit larger. Drive shaft, there's not a lot of difference in the size of the drive shaft. What else can we sort of take a look at that you might be interested in? Just so they're working on the vehicle, that's why there's some extra bash plates off. Transmission's coming out to replace that rear main seal. Quite commonly, seals like this on Toyotas may leak because of a catch can, but this hasn't got a catch can, has it?
No.
No catch can on this one, so it could be just a bit of luck, could have been overfilled on oil, could be a lack of oil changes, okay? So oil is the lifeblood, and leaving it in there too long can be a contributor. Have a bit of a look around because we can, right? The steering, similar size, a little bit bigger, twice as many injectors, twice as many fuel pipes, so almost twice as much work to replace injectors, and they do wear at about the same rate. So you're up for double as far as costings go. Transmission, we won't talk about that too much. It was more of an inspection, so we're just taking a look underneath the vehicle. The 200s are pretty good. They are quite solid, and you don't see, again, being a Toyota, biggest issue I see is the original suspension worn and flogged. Of course, the rear tyres are going to be in pretty good condition. So they're obviously well overdue for a rotate and balance also is the other concern. The rotate and balance, that's why the tyres sort of wearing a little bit the way they have been. You've got your spare wheel under here, which is not really ideal for off-roading because it could get hit and get damaged, depending on the kind of tracks you're doing, which is why a lot of people then go and invest a whole heap more money to put even more weight on the back of the vehicle to remove that spare wheel out from there. Checking the brakes, same sort of thing. You can get in there and have a look. Might not be able to get the angle right with the camera, but these actually look a fair bit worn down. They'll be due for rear pads soon. We'll take a quick look at this side. So this is, I suppose, a bit of a vehicle inspection video. You can see no oil leaks at the axle. One of the main things you're checking on vehicles when you go underneath at service is you're checking for oil leaks. You're looking for deterioration. And I can see the feathered on these tyres as well. So they've certainly been on the front. And I personally believe it's not going to be wheel alignment issues. Been around a few decades and I've learnt to recognise what issues you've got with tyre wear. And I personally believe the reason these tyres are worn and feathered on the outside edges is slight underinflation and a lack of control keeping the tyre on the ground. It's bouncing too much when it hits bumps, corrugation, speed humps, too much bounce. And where the tyre lands, it's starting to feather and wear every second tread. And of course, once that starts, it's a bit like the brake pulsation issue. Once it runs out of true in service, that's using the brakes, it just gets worse. So it needs suspension kind of urgently, and tyre pressures need to be adjusted accordingly to suit the load of the vehicle. This is a VX, so it's got the KDSS as well. We're not going to go into it too much. There's not a lot to see here. You can see the exhaust is in pretty good condition, but I do note that at the back here, there you go. See this resonator here? The moisture sits in there. Let's have a bit of a look down the pipe for you, see if that works out. Have a look at that. Anyway, you can see it's not as good as a Prado, because we never see Prado exhausts rusting out, but you can see one hole starting to come through there. You've got a couple more holes here. So that will be needing some sort of replacement product sooner or later, but not a big deal being at the back there. Anything you've noticed on this vehicle that's, no, it's just the oil leak that's being attended to. You know, it's a bit grotty, could do with a good clean up. Would have been nice to have it clean to work on, wouldn't it? You know?
Absolutely.
But you know, you got to do what you got to do. Transmission, it's a big sucker coming out. What's this one? Is this the 60? I don't know. I don't work on these. Like I said, I don't remember. I'm going to give you the wrong information. If I don't know, I don't talk. I don't know what these look like. I suppose it's only the transfer case that's different. I'm pretty sure that's an A60F. There you go. I'm taking a guess here, but that's what I believe it is. So you can let me know in the comments, good guess, Anth, or not, because that's pretty much what it was. And you can see the EGR, all the soot in the exhaust system. But, you know, this is going to have the old original injectors in it. They'll be flogged and worn. They'll be not fueling correctly. They'll be putting too much fuel in. It'll be blowing some smoke. And how do we know this? Because even if we don't work on them every day, we see them on the road, if not every day, every other. And you see them as they're accelerating away. Just have a look at that rear main leak while we're here, that oil leak. You see it accelerate away, or on the overtaking lane on the highway or whatever. And even just getting up to speed a little bit slower than usual, they blow a heap of smoke. It's, you know, it's not good. I see more 200s blowing smoke than I do 1KD. 1KDs don't blow smoke usually unless you've got big problems, right? Nissans blow smoke and all that. You know, we love the Nissans and the Nissan owners, but, you know, we see the Audis and the Mercedes and the Nissans, they're blowing smoke. We see all these Toyotas, the majority, and they're clean, unless they've got big problems. So, but looking in here, I want you to understand, by leaving your old original flogged injectors, the carbon, the unburnt fuel and the black smoke, so what you're doing to the environment and what you're doing to your intake system is just going to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse the longer you leave it, okay? So you best get your injectors replaced. Don't think because you've got a 200, look, you know, the cracking piston issue is certainly going to be less on an engine that's got twice as many cylinders, okay? It's a 4.5 litre, it's not a 3 litre. There's 8 cylinders, not 4. The load is spread, so it's going to be very rare you see those sorts of issues, but it is still possible, and it's still not a problem with the piston. In that case, it'd probably just be, you know, people are going to leave these injectors. A lot of people replace injectors on these, but look, each to their own. I don't need to sell you injectors. I'm flat out with vehicles and packet injector kits. Oh yeah, there you go. Give it a smack. Give the diff drain plug a smack, and that's what happens. It gets all bent out of shape, and then you end up with a sweat like that. So this would probably take a K-on. It looks like the same plug to me. That would take a K-on 24mm replacement. What's happened up here? A bit butchered up as well, maybe. Anyway, look, that's about it, guys. it's not a how to replace the rear main, but just wanted to mention, you know, on a 200 series we're seeing a rear main oil leak, and on all the 1KDs I've ever had in the workshop, and I've got the guys here nodding no to me as well, we have not seen ever seen a rear main oil leak. So this video could be called "This is why Prados are better than 200 series." Anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found a bit of information here, a bit of an inspection for you. As I said, a lot of things are a lot more heavy duty. The trailing arms, they're bigger bushes, but we don't see any issues with the lower trailing arms on the Prados either, so it's not really relevant. Panhard, yeah, that's big and fat as well, but then the smaller one does the job. So I don't see anything here. The diff housing also looks a bit stronger as well, but I don't see anything here that's required. We've got a smaller fuel tank. I don't like that. Smaller fuel tank on an engine that uses more fuel. That's not exciting. So that's it, guys. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on. We're out of here. Thanks for watching. See ya.